Good afternoon and welcome to the latest edition of the Married with Children documentary, The Ladies of Married with Children. And for this week's episode, we go to season 9, episode 1, A Shoeway to Heaven. And we're delighted this evening to be joined by the character Dominique, who was played by the one and only Tawny Kitane in Married with Children. I suppose, Tawny, Married with Children, such a nostalgic show. An awful lot of successful actresses throughout the years have been in Married with Children. How did the opportunity for you to come about to guest appear in that show?
Well, my agent called me. I think like many programs and like many situations, and said, would you like to go in and audition for Married with Children? I was like, are you kidding me? I mean, this show was huge over here at the time. It was in its ninth season, like you said. And I was like, I can't turn this down, of course. So I went in and I auditioned for it.
And I suppose, Tawny, in terms of Married with Children, you mentioned it was a big show all across the United States at the time, a cable TV show, very prominent on Fox TV as well at the time. So were you a fan? Were you one of those armchair fans that sat down each week to get in your dose of Married with Children? Had you seen a few episodes of the show?
You know what? Yeah, I guess... Let's see, I was working a lot back then. So I don't know if I sat down and like waited for it to come on, but I don't think a week went by that I didn't see it. So yeah, you could call me. I was definitely a fan of the show, and especially of Christine Applegate and of Ed O'Neill.
And I suppose that Tawny, at the time, they're all wannabe successful actresses and actresses beginning their career and models. They all wanted to be on Married with Children, in terms of like Tiffany Thiessen, Denise Richards, Mila Jovovich, Pamela Anderson. All to name a few, all guest starred in Married with Children at the time. And it was one of those network shows throughout the 80s and 90s that every young actress, I suppose, wanted to be on, in terms of boosting their career as well.
Is that true?
Yes, all those actresses were on Married with Children.
Oh my gosh, I had no idea. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I'm learning. You learn something new every day.
Yeah. So if you look through the list, there's loads. Elizabeth Kiefer, Shayna Wall. There's so many prominent actresses throughout the 11 seasons have guest starred in Married with Children that have gone on to some Oscar winners as well. Starting off, it was Tiffany Thiessen, Saved by the Bell, as another one, guest starred in Married with Children, one of her first jobs. It was Denise Richards' second job in the industry as well. So it was
wow.
Yeah,
so I'm in good company.
Yes, very much good company, Tawny. So it was a starting block for most young actresses at the time. And in terms of working in Hollywood at the time, you mentioned there in the 80s and 90s, you were very busy. Was it comedy shows? Were they a sort of thing that you aspired to guest star in?
You know, well, I had already... Was I at the time... I'm wondering if I was already doing WKRP in Cincinnati at that time. Comedy has always been my favorite genre. I was just doing an interview the other day, and they asked me, one of the questions was, what is my favorite genre? Was it horror? Was it sci-fi? And I said it was rom-com, because comedy is and always has been my thing. So yeah, so I think I had done some comedies before this. This is why I thought it would be a really good fit for me.
Or her.
Al, that's Dominique, the highest paid lingerie model in the world. Page 36, soft and slinky catalog.
The plum lycra Teddy? I didn't recognize her not straddling a cannon.
help me?
Yes. My name is Al Bundy, and I was born to rock your world.
Well, that answered none of my questions. Listen, I'm booked to appear on a TV special this weekend, and I need some really funky shoes to wear. This is where you talk.
Oh, shoes. Oh, we got shoes. Yeah, here's some shoes.
Oh, I like these. How much?
For what? Oh, shoes.
The shoes.
Oh, we got shoes. Here's some shoes.
How much?
Well, for you, I could probably let them go for
Free?
I wouldn't feel comfortable just taking that.
Oh, I wouldn't feel comfortable just giving them to you.
No, they're yours, providing, when you're on the show, you mention where you got them.
Huh, that sounds fair. You know, that's very, very kind of you. I'll do it. Al Bundy's House of Soul.
Yeah, where the shoes are free and the salesmen are morons.
And I suppose, Tawny, in terms of the episode as well, Shoeway to Heaven, you play a superstar model, Dominique, I suppose very similar to sort of your own role in sort of real life. And it's Al Bundy House of Soul, where these relic sort of shoes were sort of found. And it's all about the shoes, and you sort of try and launch his business by modeling his sort of shoes, but lo and behold, dodgy sort of treading, as I say, leads to your a fall or an accident, and obviously puts him out of business, as the saying goes. But what are your memories of arriving on the set of Married with Children? Were you given the 5-star treatment in terms of your own dressing room, wardrobe, makeup, food, the works? Was it a very welcoming set?
It was extremely welcoming, and I'll tell you who was the most welcoming, and that was Christine Applegate. You know,
Okay.
it's so, in this business, I've met, and I will not name them, but there are so many actresses that I have been out on calls with that if I said their names, you would know exactly who they are, that weren't very welcoming. And Christine Applegate, so I'm kind of used to thinking that that's kind of how it's going to be. And when I showed up on the set of Married with Children and she was there and she couldn't have been sweeter, I was so blown away, because that's, unfortunately, in our business, that's not really the norm. Girls are kind of pitted against each other, or if someone else comes on their show, they feel a little threatened, but not her at all. She is such a class act. I don't know if you've seen the work that she's done lately, but she deserves everything she's doing. I mean, when I see other girls that I've worked with before, and I see them doing a role now, and if they weren't really nice to me, I'm like, gosh, I wish I could have that role. But if I see someone that like was always such a sweetheart and so, you know, such a great girl, I look at them and I'm really happy for them. You know, I'm really proud of them, and I'm like, yeah, you go, girl. And she's that girl. So the 5-star came from her, along with Ed O'Neill. I don't really remember a lot of the rest of the cast, and I think that was because everyone kind of, you know, as actors sometimes do, kind of stay to themselves, but they went out of their way to be really gracious and generous and like welcome to the show. So but yeah, I was given the 5-star treatment in terms of my trailer, in terms of my food, in terms of my hair and makeup, and yeah, I did. And it was a fun set to work on. And now that I think back, I'm wondering, did I meet the princess that's married to Harry? Like, was she on the set when I was there? Did I run into her by any chance?
I'm not quite sure about that. I'll have to double check on that. You sort of caught me on that one, Tawny. Tawny, I suppose most of your scenes on that show were with Ed O'Neill and sort of Ted McGinley, who played
Ted-
Jefferson as well. And those sort of scenes in between sort of takes when the camera started rolling, was it very hard to keep a straight face with all the one-liners and jokes?
Yes, it was very hard to keep a straight face. The banter that Ted and Ed had between each other, you could tell that they were really close and they had been working together for many years. But again, they were both so gracious to me that, you know, I was like one of the guys and let in on the jokes. And, you know, speaking about their crew, the crew was really great. So yeah, and it was a really, really funny funny episode. I remember they were all dressed in their ridiculous looking costumes, and it was such a fun episode to work on.
And did you shoot that episode?
Rich, goodbye, Peg. Hello, everybody else.
These shoes were a special gift given to me by Al Bundy of Al Bundy's House of Soul.
Yes! Methinks the price be fixed now, ladies.
And now for the category of Best Supporting Bra in a Comedy, Musical, or News Special.
Oh my God! Dominique just fell into the orchestra pit.
Ladies and gentlemen, the heel of Dominique's shoe has fallen off. It appears she has, at the very least, broken her leg in 1, 2, 3 places.
Hello, Peg. Goodbye, everybody else.
And it's all because of one shoddy shoe from Al Bundy's House of Soul.
You know, why don't they just spell it?
That's ALBUNDY S, House of Soul.
Episode in front of a live show. So in terms of that, the sort of fall, was that done by a stunt woman, or did you actually? I doubt you actually fell yourself.
Yeah, no, that was done by a stunt woman. My agent wasn't going to allow me to get hurt. I would have gladly have done it. I was an ex-gymnast and ballerina, and you know, I could have probably taken the fall. But I think they cut away from me. I mean, I've seen it in reruns. Like if I see it coming on, I try to get my kids and go, look, it's your mom. I swear she was an actress. But yeah, I think they cut away from me, and then all of a sudden, doesn't Dominique like fall into a pit? She falls off the stage.
Yeah.
And ruins Ted, ruins his whole just another one of his hair scheme, you know, the situations that he had going. But yeah, no, that wasn't me. That was definitely a stunt woman.
And I suppose that in Tawny, in relation to the character Dominique, I suppose, did you see her when you were trying to portray her as a seductive sort of temptress that maybe had the male characters in the palm of her hands, by the way she carried herself and her presentation, that she was able to get men to give her what she wanted?
Wait, say that again. Did you think I was trying to be another actress? Is that what you just said?
No, the character Dominique, was she very in her methods? Was she a sort of seductive in the way that she cast a spell over Ed and Ted? So she could get anything that she wanted off him in terms of shoes and everything like that.
I think she was a really good girl. I think she may have been all those things that you just said, but I don't think she did that on purpose. I think she was a really good girl, and I think she saw that I guess you're right. She, towards the end there, after that first meeting with them, she realized, wait a second, I could get a bunch of shoes for free here. and Ed O'Neill's character and Ted they had their own bit of craziness going on and trying to use her. And so you're right. I think she kind of played them back. Absolutely.
And I suppose that Tawny, that experience of Married with Children, I know you've done an awful lot of jobs throughout your career in the 80s and 90s in terms of modelling, but being involved in a sort of hit TV sort of sitcom, did it, coming off Married with Children, did it give you that buzz of adrenaline that made you want to do similar projects to that? Had you sort of real happy memories coming off the set of Married with Children, saying to yourself, yeah, I'd like to do something similar to that again in a heartbeat?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I like I said earlier, comedy is my number one fascination, and something that there's not a lot of things that I feel that I'm decent at, but I know that I'm decent at doing comedies. And when I get a chance to play a character like that on Married with Children, it really did afterwards make me go, you know what? I talked to my agent and said, you know what? I need to do more of these.
And I suppose, Tawny, the last question now before I let you go. Let's pretend
So
there was
soon?
Tawny, no, we've been just talking for a while now, I suppose. And I see your dog is anxious to get his mammy back to him.
Can you see Steve back there?
I can, yeah. Tawny, let's pretend there was a Married with Children encyclopedia, a sort of dictionary as such, and they put your character Dominique into the encyclopedia, and they're left 2 blank sentences underneath her description. Having portrayed the role of Dominique in Married with Children, what would you like those 2 sentences to read?
Great question. Dominique, sultry temptress vixen who is so sweet and innocent, she's not going to let anything get in her way of what she wants.
So true, Tawny. Tawny Kitane, an absolute pleasure talking to you today to relive your memories of playing Dominique in Married with Children, Season 9, Episode 1, A Shoe-Way to Heaven. And do anyone listening in, do check it out, do rewatch that episode again, and relive Tawny's memories in Married with Children. They're a true delight. And Tawny, it's an absolute pleasure talking to you this evening, and we wish you a prosperous evening, and we hope yourself and Steve have a prosperous 2021.
Jim, thank you so much. You as well.
Cheers. Take care. Take care,
too.
Tawny.